like to join Fennon and I for a story? Hi, Freya. Hi, Rachel. So can you all come down on this step here? Rachel, can you come down? And Max, can you come down there? And face this way so you can see the story. How is everybody? Are you good?
Good.
It's good to see you this morning. I have a story that I haven't told you before. Well, you're going to find out. You're going to find out. And this story begins. No, it's not in space today. No. Oops. Oops. This story begins in the desert, like a lot of the times, yeah. It's called the Holy Land, the place where Jesus lived and taught people about God and taught people how to love each other better. And so this story happens after Jesus had died, but I wanted to start. This is Jesus. I want to start with him because he and all of his followers were all part of the same church. Just like kind of we're all part of the same church here. And in that church, there were certain things to believe and certain ways to behave and all of that. And in fact, I've showed you this before, they had over 600 rules for how to live. Over 600. Oh, it's upside down. There you go. I know, it's in a different language. But it's in the language that, well, it's not really in the language that Jesus spoke because I can't write Aramaic, but it does. Anyway, there were all these rules. But what happened, whoops, just a minute, fix that. What happened was Jesus, although he went to church every week, some of the rules, some of the laws he felt weren't very good for people because some of them said that some animals were good and some animals were bad. Some people were good, some people were bad. You could be friends with this person, but you weren't allowed to talk to that person. And he thought,
okay, that's a bad rule.
Yeah, it's a bad rule, isn't it? And so Jesus colored outside the lines. Have you ever colored outside the lines?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot? Well, he colored outside the lines because he thought, no, some of these rules aren't good for people, aren't good for the church, so I'm gonna make love the main rule. And so that's what he passed on, and then Jesus died, and one of the people that we met last week in the story, those of you who were here, was Peter. And Peter was one of the followers, and he became the new leader. He became the one that people looked to the way they looked to Jesus.
He has an arm. He does only have one arm.
Oh, his other arm's there. There it is. We're good. But Peter was still following these rules. Yeah, even though Jesus said love needed to be the first rule, he was still following these rules until one day a very strange thing happened. He was by himself in his house, and all of a sudden, let me get all the corners. All of a sudden, above his head, up in the sky, there was this giant cloud, a giant cloud. And it came down from the sky, and it came down right in front of him. And then it opened. It had 4 corners. It opened up. And there, inside it, was all Okay, let's just leave that. With all kinds of different animals and all kinds of different people. People, there were boys and girls. There were people that had that needed a wheelchair because they couldn't walk. There were people from different religions. There were animals that were in the laws, were good animals and bad animals. They were all inside this big sheet. And Peter couldn't figure out what was going on. And all of a sudden, a voice said to him, Peter, Peter, you can like any animal that you want. And Peter said, and the voice said, Peter, you can be friends with any person that you want to be friends with. And Peter wondered where this voice was coming, and he said, but doesn't the law say that some animals are bad? And doesn't the law say that some people we're not supposed to talk to?
Yeah.
And the voice said, how could God make anything bad? How could that happen? How could anyone be left out? And then, just as it had arrived, the sheet went back up into the sky and disappeared. And just as it disappeared, there was a knock at his door. And outside of his door, there were 3 strangers. And they looked different than he did. They talked different than he did. They were from a different church than he was. And Peter suddenly thought about what Jesus said and went, maybe I need to color outside the lines. And so these 3 people said, we want to invite you to come to our home for dinner. I wonder what Peter decided to do.
Yes.
Do you think he said yes?
I think he said no.
You think he said no?
I
I wonder how it would feel to love everyone. I wonder how that would
love
feel.
everyone.
Do you love everyone?
Yeah.
I believe that.
I love everyone.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen.
I wonder what it means to color outside the lines. You've done that 100 times? Maybe it would be good to color outside the lines. We're going to sing a song called Coloring Outside the Lines. You going to sing it with me? You can dance if you like, because it's a really good song to dance to. My love colors outside the lines.